It took Christopher Columbus 10 weeks to cross the Atlantic when he discovered America. Yet, it took this thing about 16 years. Oh yes, it is a 2017 Honda Civic Type R, and it is finally here. Oh yeah, it does have to cross the Atlantic because this thing is made in England. It costs 40,890 Canadian dollars, and it doesn't really have many options to add, so that is pretty much the final price before taxes and fees. That price puts it up against rivals like the Golf R and Subaru STI that also have all-wheel drive. The funny thing is that compared to the STI, this has 1 horsepower more and 8 pound-feet of torque more. So it's that close, and it also looks as silly, if not sillier. Yeah, they totally outdid the STI with all these aero bits and pieces, which apparently all work, but they do look a little bit tacky. The interior follows the same motto as well. Quality-wise, it is average. Visually, it is really aggressive with all those red accents, but the seats thrown inside are absolutely phenomenal. This slightly cheap feel though, I guess, is because they had to keep the weight low, and because this is a track-ready car, I'm not gonna hold any grudge against it. Roominess though is really good for a hot hatch, and it's a Civic after all, and Civics nowadays are very roomy vehicles. The rear seat will only sit 2, as the middle is only for drinks, but headroom and legroom are both really good. Also the trunk, look at that! The hatch opening is huge, and the usable capacity to the ceiling is 728 liters. Nothing less than impressive. But now let's get back to the juicy stuff. The front dual-axis independent strut suspension, together with a helical limited slip diff, the 20-inch wheels with those sticky performance tires, make this thing feel anything but front-wheel drive. I actually call it magic wheel drive because wheel slip is really difficult. The power goes to the ground really well, and there's absolutely 0 torque steer, which is amazing. The 6-speed manual gearbox is the only way you can have it, and with its short throws and nicely defined gates, it works really well. Just look at how easy it is to rev match. See, piece of cake. No, it's actually doing it all by itself. It has this automatic rev matching, which works really well. Wow. The clutch feels near perfect, and the brake pedal feels really good too. Big brakes come as standard with 4-pot calipers in the front, which can stop this thing from 100 kilometers an hour and 41 meters, which is pretty damn good. The Type R, even here in Canada, seems to have a cult following because everywhere I go, I seem to get noticed. However, Honda fanboys are in for a culture shock because replacing those high-revving VTEC engines with a boosted one means a humongous change in the way power is delivered. And I'd never believe that I'd ever say that, but it suffers from turbo lag, and it's a Honda. There's no doubt that the 306 horsepower and 298 pound-feet of torque it makes are really impressive, but if you find yourself outside of the boost, there we go. By the time it spools up those 23 PSIs it makes, I mean, grease will be out of debt. So there's no mistake with a flywheel being as heavy as I am, and with that rev matching technology being as good as it is, because they've done everything they can to help mitigate that problem. Newcomers to the brand will absolutely love it, but loyal followers will need a little bit of time to adapt. Fuel economy is not bad. Expect an average of around 10 liters per 100 kilometers, which for a performance car is pretty good. And last but not least, let's talk about handling. The rear multi-link suspension is a bit playful, and it helps you rotate the car when hitting a corner. And with the jaw-dropping grip levels the front provides, this car is really quick through twisty roads. And it's very easy to drive quickly. I mean, it will only understeer if you drive it way too hard. But keep your lines tight, use that rev matching, and holy shit does this thing go. Wow! And remember, this car just broke the Nürburgring lap record for production front-wheel drive cars. That is not an easy thing to do. Believe it or not, the one thing I appreciate the most is this little switch that you can switch the car in comfort mode. Because the adaptive suspension works really well, and even though in race and sport mode it's ready to kill, in comfort mode it's actually very comfortable. At my age, that's something I really appreciate. With every bone in my body, I believe that if you buy a Honda Civic Si, which is 12 grand cheaper, and then you throw 12 grand on the car to make it sportier or faster or whatever, you will not make it this good. So, if you plan to track your car, buy this one to begin with. For its sheer capability and front-wheel drive engineering magic, I will give it an overall 9.2 out of 10. Well done, Honda.